Hello guys, my name is Pawan and welcome to my YouTube channel buildingyourdreams.com. So this is the part 2 video of our chapter 12 that is about consumer protection. So in the previous part 1 video we have discussed about what is consumer awareness, plus we discussed about what are their rights, we discussed about the responsibilities, we discussed about the monetary limits of claim. So all this we described in detail. So in case if you have not watched the part 1 video, so I kindly request you kindly go to the part 1 video because your entire basics is very much important for constructing buildings. Similar way, while studying the business, is very much important you know the basics properly. Then only you'll get connected to the interlink to other question answers from that same chapter. So now, as being said that, now you have to note that in first part 1 we discussed about rights and responsibilities. So this is the same continuation of where we had stopped. So in this part 2 we'll be focusing upon the 4 ways in which consumer protection can be achieved. I've completed the first 3 points, that is self-regulation by business, business association and consumer awareness in the part 1. So kindly go watch it, and then after finishing that kindly come back to this video. So now coming back to our points, that's about consumer organization plays role in education. It basically plays an important role in education construction about the rights and providing protection to them. So it's basically consumer organization, the main important role over here is basically for educating consumers, educating educating constructive knowledge for the consumers about their rights and providing protection to them. So the main obligation of the consumer organization is to educate them about their rights and providing protection to them. Next one, who can protect? The protection can be achieved in terms of government. How is government intervening, plus how can government help? The government can protect the interest of consumer by various legislation like parliament. They can implement laws and then bring into an executive manner. So all these factors, even the government can also play a very important role. So these are the first 5 important points which we have discussed. First one is self-regulation by business. We have discussed already. Business association, consumer awareness, consumer organization, and then the government. So now these are the first 5 important key points which we discussed. So in this, normally question they can ask you for 4 markers. For 4 markers you can just write 4 points, but in case if you know all the 5 points, that would be great. That's not an issue. Now next important part which you're supposed to know here is next question. State any 4 directions which can be issued by consumer court to the opposite party. So what are the 4 directions which can be issued by the consumer court to the opposite party? That means that if you are a consumer, just imagine you're the consumer Y. Okay, you're the consumer Y and you have bought a product from X company. You are the consumer Y. So just imagine your name is Y. Okay, so you have bought a product from the company X, but you find some kind of exploitation, or you find that you have been exploited that X company. So then what you're going to do, you're going to the consumer court. So now when you go into the consumer court can do 4 things. Simple. Consumer court can do 4 things. First one, to remove the defect in goods. So they can order that to remove the defect in goods. So consumer court can ask the X company to remove the defect in goods. Next one, to replace the defective product with a new one. So they can do one more thing. The court can say that to replace which product is defective, to replace that with a new one. Okay, you can continue your production, but you remove the defective product and then replace with an other one. And next other very much important point is about, I hope it's visible for you guys. Okay, the next point is to refund the price paid for the product. So next the court can say that you have to refund for the X company. The court can say that you have to refund the price paid for the product. And last important thing is to pay a reasonable amount of compensation for any loss or injury suffered by the consumer due to negligence of the opposite party. So the court can also say that you are supposed to pay a reasonable amount of compensation. You have to pay a reasonable amount of compensation for any kind of loss or injury suffered by the consumer. Okay, so they're supposed to provide a compensation for any kind of loss or injury suffered by the consumer due to the negligence of the opposite party. It's very simple. It's as simple as that. Next one, state any 4 functions of the consumer organization and NGO for the protection and promotion of consumer interests. So next one is you're supposed to state any 4 functions of consumer organization. Which are the 4 functions of the consumer organization and NGO for the protection and promotion of the consumer interest? The first one is Educating the general public about the consumer rights by organization training programs, seminars and workshops. Simple means that you have to educate the consumer about the rights, responsibilities through various seminars and workshop. Very simple. Next one. Publishing periodicals and other publications to impart knowledge about consumer problems and legal reporting. That means that through various publications, it can be journal, it can be newspaper, so various other publications which can impart knowledge to the consumers, those mediums should also be taken into consideration. This is what we are, the consumer organization and NGO should be focusing upon. Okay, next one. Encourage the consumers to strongly protest and take in actions against unsurplus exploitation and unfair trade practices. So encourage. So over here, even the consumer organization and NGO is also focusing that the consumers should strongly protest. They are supposed to strongly protest and take actions against unsurplus exploitation. They have to take actions against if they are exploited. They are supposed to take actions. They are not supposed to hide themselves or shun themselves. They are supposed to raise their voice and for the unfair trade practices, because we have our rights, we have a responsibility to get protected by the law. So we have to go fight in case we are finding any kind of exploitation. Next one. Carrying out comparative testing of consumer products in laboratories to test the relative qualities of competing brands and publishing the test results of benefits of consumers. So basically, here they're trying to analyze and tell you that the comparative test of consumer products. So taking the consumer products in the laboratory and testing out relative qualities to test out the quality. So it's also encouraging the consumers to take out the product and test the quality of the product. So all this, test the quality of the product and share the benefits of the consumer. That means that after knowing about the product, after testing on it, if you're finding something defective, just inform the other cycles of our economy so the strict measures can be taken. So these and all are the important effective functions taken by the consumer organization and NGO for the protection and the promotion of consumer interest. So as being said that these are the 4 important points you are supposed to study, and it is very much easy. So in this chapter, I don't suggest any mnemonics technique. Mnemonics is basically a key point which you are supposed to remember. For example, if there are multiple points and how to remember, I wouldn't be teaching for this chapter. That's a trick. But in this chapter, I don't think so that is required, because it's basically understanding this chapter and writing in your own knowledgeable way, and I don't think so mnemonics is required for this chapter, but I will show you surely which are the chapters you will be requiring mnemonics techniques. And so guys, second important thing which you're supposed to know where is that normally teachers say that before the 1 month of the exam, just for past 10-year question papers, it's very good. I do agree, but normally I've compiled every questions together and brought up into one set of format. To be honest, when they ask you to refer 10 to 11, 12 question papers or 5 question paper, it's basically compiling your entire syllabus, because from each question paper you'll have one question of that particular chapter. Basically you're covering up the entire chapter. That is another trick. So now, but make sure that you just go through my video, have a proper flow and study in a systematic order. It's called modus operandi. Go in a systematic order while studying it. So now this is basically coming an end of your 4 markers. Next, let's look upon the 1 markers. So I've just taken a random book in which you can just focus upon 1 markers. It would be really great if you can go to the Karnataka PU question bank or any kind of book, or if you want, just pause this video and just take a screenshot of this notes. That would also be really grateful, because normally when I teach students, I just teach students from this book perspective. Okay, so next one. Let's read out the one marker. Certain questions I wouldn't be reading answers. Why? Because we have already discussed. State any one unfair trade practices of manufacturers and service providers by which consumers are exploited. We discussed it's adulteration of products. Next. State any one regulation which provides legal protection to the consumer. Consumer Protection Act of 1986, very, very much important. Please do study this. In which year the Consumer Protection Act was enabled? So Consumer Protection Act was enabled in 1986. It's as simple as that. So what is a consumer? Consumer is a person who buys any product or services for final consumption by paying a price. So a consumer is one person, one kind of person is basically buying a product and services and using it for final consumption. Final consumption by paying a price. So name any one redressal machinery and agency set up under the Consumer Protection Act to redress consumer grievances. It can be a district redressal agency. Important than monetary limits of claims. So these three answers we have already discussed previously, so I wouldn't be giving much emphasis over here. If you want, just read it out. The monetary limits of claim in district consumer dispute redressal forum. If you do not have books, not an issue, please do take a screenshot. That's enough. That will be more than enough. And make sure that you prepare your own notes. When I'm just noting down over here for 4 markers also, as I said, you must know the key points very well. Okay, know the key points very well, and you try to expand in your own way of understanding. Why? Because normally PO board hopes a general review is that they don't read the entire points, but you must have some kind of sense, but key points are very much important. They mark you upon it. So make sure that your definition which you're going to describe is completely related in your own ideology way. So now next question, state the monetary limits of claim of state consumer dispute redressal forum, which we'll discuss to exceed 20 lakhs but less than 1 crore. What is the monetary limits of claim in National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission? So which is exceeding 1 crore, yes. And next one, name any one consumer organization, NGO, engaged in protecting and promoting consumer interests. So you're supposed to name any one kind of consumer organization or interest or NGO organization in protecting the consumer interests. First one is Consumer Coordination Council, Delhi. It's in Delhi. That is Consumer Coordination Council in Delhi. And in Karnataka, I just got that is Karnataka Consumer Service Society, Bangalore. Okay, and the next important question which we'll be discussing over here is, this is basically for your 2 markers. Consumer protection, we have discussed first of this chapter. It's about consumer protection. So that's the reason whenever you're studying business, go to the 4 markers, then you go back to the 2 markers or 1 markers. You will be able to connect it fast. State any 2 reasons to emphasize the importance of consumer protection from the consumer's point of view. Consumers' ignorance, unorganized consumers. Okay, next one, state any 2 reasons to emphasize the importance of consumer protection from the point of view of the business. First one is long-term interest of business. Next one is business uses society's resources. We discussed social responsibility and government intervention. Okay, next, right into consumer rights. We discussed 6 rights. You can just mention any 2 rights. It's up to you. Who can file a complaint before the appropriate consumer forum? You can mention any 2, a consumer or any registered council or consumer association, central or state government. So yes, so this come to an end of this chapter. Basically, we completed the 4 markers, we completed the 2 markers and 1 markers. So once you complete the 4 markers, it's going to be truly a cakewalk for you in terms of 2 markers and 1 markers. And in case if you have any doubt regarding this, just comment me. So when I'm free, I will surely reply. Do not worry about it. And as I've said before, in case if you want an online classes of face-to-face direct interaction with me, where you want to have a detailed study in terms of me, where you want to have mock test series, or if you want to attend the previous year question papers in detail along with my support and guidance, I'm taking online classes upon it. If you want, there's a below in the description, I have just given my email ID. That is pavanisys109@gmail.com. Just mail me once and surely I'll get connected to you. Do not worry about it. So I will do my level best from my side to help you, and I assure that. And meanwhile, I've also published videos upon various other subjects of 2nd PUC, English and French and basic mathematics, so on. Kindly go through it, and if you have any doubt, just comment below. I can surely help you out. Okay. And that's it. That's very much important. And guys, if you do like this video, please do like it and subscribe. It will be a great support for me. And please do share, because knowledge is a platform in which we must share the essence of learning. Then only there's an individual as well as overall growth. So that's all for today. Thank you. Goodbye. Love you all so much. Wishing you the most and more day. Thank you.